Welcome back to the Grey Matters podcast. You know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment, offer your comment on anything we're doing. Today, top of heart again is black economic empowerment. You all know that BEE has the word empowerment in it, right? But is it really empowerment? The origins of BEE were not in the Freedom Charter. The origins of BEE weren't in any founding ANC policy documents from years ago, 50s, 60s. It doesn't even appear in our South African constitution by name. It's not even named there. BEE was introduced by politicians in 1994 at the end of apartheid when we all went to vote. Just a reminder, that's 31 years ago. The goal at the time was to redress the economic inequalities that existed between black and white and other races and caused by apartheid. So the first policies that were introduced were brought in giving black South Africans opportunities in business, in employment and at ownership, and it has expanded since then in the last 31 years to be the evil that it is today. The Gumede report, there was a Gumede report done. One Professor William Gumede was asked by government to assess the BEE situation in South Africa. They probably didn't like what he found, I think. He found that just 100 families have siphoned off R1 trillion out of this economy. I've mentioned this before, R1 trillion. Guys, that's not empowerment. That is exploitation at the worst ever level and degree. Our own president, Cyril Ramaphosa, has benefited hugely from BEE, from one transformational project to another. This guy, Cyril, is not a self-made businessman or a self-made billionaire. He's a beneficiary of something called patronage, or political connectedness, how well you are connected politically to be in the right place to get the contracts. He's a prime example of how BEE rewards those that are connected. Look at him. We just need to look at the unemployment and the poverty levels alone in our country to see that our taxes are not reaching those people that desperately need it the most. BEE hasn't worked. It can never work, it will never work, it has not worked, period, full stop. Now, the ANC is trying to roll out a next level of broad-based BEE. The idea, spread it wider, make it bigger, make the circle bigger. So the logic here is, let's introduce some more race-based policies to fix the race-based policies that we currently have that aren't working. Like, soos my boeties altyd sê, dit gaan my gat te bowe. The reality, guys, is it hasn't worked, it cannot work. It still doesn't reach the people that need it the most. BEE was initiated and was meant to uplift people. Instead, it's rewarded those that are connected and it forgets those that are desperately hungry and in turmoil. When a policy that's meant for justice deepens inequality, that's not empowerment, that's evil, dressed up in some virtuous facade. What we actually need in this country, what we do need in this country, you all know. The real pathway out of poverty into prosperity for all South Africans is, number one, to get rid of this evil called BEE, and there's lots of reasons for that. The reality here is that the hungry are real people in our country. Did you know that a third of South African children are malnourished? Thousands have died in hospitals from hunger and hunger-related issues, most of them black folk. How can the ANC even start to talk about empowerment when its children are starving? You want to empower people, Cyril? Start with food, start with feeding the poor, start with feeding those whose tummies are growling. Real empowerment, folks, means that we have What about starting with safer communities that you can walk around at night, not get mugged, raped, pillaged, have your cars smashed and grabbed at robots? What about offering a world-class education? What have you done in 31 years to uplift those that were previously disadvantaged in our country? Schools, varsities, a lot of it burnt, as I mentioned before. And then to try and accommodate and make things better, you drop the pass rate to 30%. 30% pass rate in South Africa for school-going kids. How about cleaning our streets? How about getting rid of the muck? How about fixing potholes? How about an infrastructure that actually works? What about water? What about electricity? What about just the dignity of your people, of our country? Cyril? BEE is built on political connectedness, absolutely not on justice. A few examples, and these have been in the media of late, and I've reported on some of them too. The Tembisa hospital story with blue Lamborghinis. The locomotive procurement scandal, where the locomotives that were bought in by the billions of rands didn't fit in part our railway tracks. It was either too narrow or too wide, and the trains and the locomotives that were brought in were too high for our infrastructure. They were electric. The wires were at X level, the carriages were at Y level, no marriage. Who did their due diligence on this project? Who benefited? Who spent the money? Where did it go to? What kickbacks were given? How many brown envelopes were given just in that locomotive procurement scandal? And then more recently in the news is this chemical toilet tender scandal and the murder of one by the name of Mpo Mafule, murdered for calling out a chemical toilet scandal. Chemical toilets, folks, are porta potties, and they want to put these in places where you could, over time, cheaper, build proper latrines, proper toilets. These three examples alone show that BEE is not and never was meant for true empowerment. We need to keep exposing BEE for what it really is. It's rotten and it's evil, and it needs to stop. And I just wonder if the voting people out there even care. The voter turnout, as we know from the last election, was at the lowest yet recorded in South Africa, in the history of South Africa. Where is this apathy coming from? Are the people happy with this? Is it acceptable to the public that your kids are starving, that infrastructure is rotten, that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? Nothing is, I don't know, nothing seemingly has changed here yet. What's going on in this country of ours? This coming time, there's new voting times that are coming here, national, municipal and national elections. Will the people vote? Do you think they're going to step up and want to take a firm stance against this scam, this rot, this evil? What do you think? You perhaps wonder why I'm constantly raising this issue of BEE. Well, I can tell you quite plainly and frankly, it's because I have lived it. I've experienced firsthand the frustration, the barriers, and the contradictions of BEE. I personally, 10 years ago now, had to close a business that I owned. Not because it was profitable and well run, because it was, but because my BEE level was deemed inadequate. I got a certificate of non-compliance. I refused to compromise on my principles, and I couldn't simply just front a company, go and find someone, window dress, pay them a salary. This is my new CEO of the business. Meantime, he's contributing nothing but taking a healthy share of the profits from the business. Window dressing for the authorities, not me. Also was expected to give away a sizable chunk of the revenue just because at the end of the day, I'm white. This is the reality facing many entrepreneurs today. BEE in its current form punishes competence and hard work, whilst it's absolutely rewarding compliance with the system that often values appearance over results. That's not empowerment, that's exploitation disguised as transformation. And that's why I keep talking about real transformation in this beloved country of ours. one that creates growth, one that creates jobs and opportunities without arbitrary penalties or racist quotas being required from us. Until next time, like, subscribe, comment. Dig to hear from you guys as always. Thank you, and keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. God bless you all. Bye.